Okay, today we get to try solving for the roots using a method called completing the square. So before that, we're going to do, the book kind of separates into the square root property and completing the square, even though they're basically the same thing. But what I'm going to notice today, it's going to be factoring. If I try factoring this, and notice today, no, it doesn't equal 0, that's okay. If I factor this, what I'm going to figure out is, okay, I'm adding to negative 12 and multiplying to 36, and it turns out it's the exact same number both times. Oops, hitting the wrong buttons over here. Multiplying to 36, that magic number is going to be negative 6 and negative 6. Right? Because negative 6 plus negative 6 is negative 12, and it multiplies to be a positive 36. Excuse me. Since those are the exact same thing, I can rewrite that as just 1x minus 6 if I square it. Right? Because if I had x times x, you would tell me that that's x squared. Well, that's the exact same thing that you're going to do down here. And let's see, how do I get rid of a squared? We'll use the inverse, which is just square root, and whatever you do to one side, you have to do to the other. And hold on. You are no longer in second grade where you can just say, oh yeah, all square roots have to be, positives or whatever. No. You need to account for the fact that 5 squared is 25. But also, negative 5 squared is 25. So the way that I'm going to account for that is this really cool symbol. It's a plus sign on top of a negative sign that says, hey, my answer could have been positive or negative, either way. That actually gives me two equations to solve. X minus 6 equals the positive 5, and x minus 6 equals the negative 5. From there you can solve, and you get x equals 11 and x equals 1. Okay, so the way you can kind of quickly get to that point is when you're starting a new problem, look at the b and c value and kind of think, okay, what is the square root of 64? Oh, that's 8. Oh, wait a minute. 8 plus 8 is 16. Negative 8 plus negative 8 is 16. That must mean it's x minus 8, x minus 8, or x minus 8 squared equaling my 49. Okay, and then from there you can solve. I'll let you guys finish from there. Okay, so those are the same thing. Let me back up for a second. If you did get to a point somehow, I don't know, I'm making it up here, like here, and you got ready to square root, if you're square rooting a negative, that means your answer is going to be no solution, because you can't square root a negative number. Okay, so sometimes it's not already going to be a beautifully perfect square function, and so that's where we're going to be doing what we call complete the square. So we're going to use this kind of formula, b over 2 squared. Here's what I want you to do. You are going to move anything that doesn't have an x to the right side and all of the x's to the left side. So when I look at 4a, this 24, move it. I don't like it on that side. X squared minus 10x. Do you notice I still left a nice big gap right there? Okay, so now what value can I add to both sides so that this would be a perfect square trinomial? And again, I'm going to use this fancy schmancy b over 2 quantity squared. B is this number right there, negative 10. So negative 10 divided by 2 quantity squared is negative 5. And negative 5 squared is 25. You're going to add that there. But, again, you can't just add numbers willy-nilly wherever you feel like. You have to keep your equation balanced. So whatever you do to one side, you have to do to the other. So now you have x squared minus 10x plus 25 equaling 1. Now you have a perfect square trinomial because the square root of 25 is 5. It needs to be a negative 5 so that it will add to negative 5 plus negative 5 will add to negative 10. Now I can square root both sides. Okay, and we can solve from there. Split it into two equations, one of them with a positive 1, one of them with a negative 1. Whew, that was a whole bunch of plus 5s I just wrote. X equals 6 or x equals 4. Okay. I think that that's all of the things. It is possible, just so you know, to have decimal answers. That's okay. And yeah, try the Delta Math.